Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered channel, folks. In this Wednesday, February 26, 2025 SEC basketball reaction. One of the better midweek slates I think we've had when you factor in how the games were. We're monitoring it. I got it on the phone, YouTube TV app. Shameless plug for YouTube TV. Even though the prices, guys, going up. Hey, going up every year. I was one of the OG members, and I feel like I'm paying about $30 more a month now. Conversation for another day. We're keeping an eye, my point being, on this Arkansas-Texas game. 7.3 seconds left. Arkansas up 2. They're reviewing a foul for potential flagrant F1. So we'll see. I think Arkansas should be able to pull this one out, but I just want to get it started. We've had some long reviews towards the end of the game. I mean, I think the Vanderbilt-Texas A&M game is still going on, folks. I think that game is still going on. Maybe the longest basketball game of all time, but a phenomenal one. Big win for Vanderbilt and Mark Byington. How about Auburn just totally dismantling Ole Miss? We'll talk about that one right off the bat. Kentucky getting a big one. Otega away. Jalen Moore going at it. Very fun heavyweight battle there. But let's get into it. But, guys, this SEC basketball reaction is brought to you by our title sponsor, FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet, guys. Here to start discussing the night. Let's go. We had all 16 teams, 8 matchups in this midweek slate. No one had a bye, but let's get right into it. Let's go to again, still monitoring this game. I'll keep you updated if you're not watching. I'm sure you're watching. Let's get right to it. Let's get to the Kentucky-Oklahoma game here, the finish. I know Auburn's #1 team. Let's show them some respect here. We'll talk about them next, but Kentucky getting the 83-82 win over Oklahoma. Kentucky improves to 19-9, 8-7 in conference play. Oklahoma 17-11, 4-11 in conference play now. I mean, this was just a fun game back-to-back. Oklahoma's been playing pretty good basketball here. I mean, beat Mississippi State on Saturday, had a chance tonight. Honestly, probably outplayed Kentucky outside of Otega away, the former Oklahoma Sooner. Kentucky shoots 50% from the field, 30.4% from beyond the arc. Oklahoma, 52.6% from beyond the arc, 52.6% from the field, 40% from beyond the arc. Free throw differential, 24 for Kentucky. Actually shot 7 more free throws on the road, which I always think is very interesting. Both teams 75-70%, +3 for Oklahoma in the rebounding margin. Turnovers 15-13. It's about the same. This game was about the same. I mean, for the most part, Kentucky's biggest lead was 9. Oklahoma's biggest lead was 5. It was a back and forth game. This could have gone anyway. 16 points off turnovers for Kentucky, 10 for Oklahoma. You hate it for Porter Moser and them squad because you feel like that was one they may look back on and make. That's why we didn't make the NCAA tournament. They're now 4-11. I think they would have to win out. I don't think they're going to get into the tournament. The conversation of should they or should they not, I think it's going to work themselves out. I hate it if you're an Oklahoma fan. If you support the Crimson and Cream, and I'm saying this, I just don't think you're going to make the tournament. You got to get to that 7-win mark. You'd have to win out. We'll look at their schedule here in a minute. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow. Kentucky, on the other hand, just getting healthy a little bit. Jackson Robinson plays a little bit. Lamont Butler plays a little bit. You like what you're seeing. But the performance from Otega away, it cannot go without speaking of. I mean, it can't. 28 points, 12 for 21, a 1 for 3 from beyond the arc. Pretty much carried the team. I mean, next in double figures, Brandon Garrison had some key moments. Had a big block shot, raced down to the other end and got a big and 1 in the second half. I like the way he was playing. 12 points, 4 boards. He had some good minutes for them tonight. You saw Jackson Robinson go back to the bench, ice that wrist. He was dealing with that injury. Lamont Butler obviously dealing with the shoulder injury he re-injured against. Who was it? Was it Vandy? No, Tennessee. I think it was Tennessee at home a couple of weeks ago. He'd been out for about 2 weeks, but it was a Tennessee game if I do remember correctly. But no, I mean, they don't win this game without Otega away. The former Oklahoma Sooner. You could tell it was getting a little heated in there. We were maybe getting a little ECW. I mean, I saw in a postgame people throwing beers. Brandon Garrison for Kentucky was getting mad. You could tell Otega away and his buddy Jalen Moore still playing for Oklahoma, kind of being chippy, going back and forth. Jalen Moore, Brandon Garrison were about to get into it. And then Doug Shows just called the game. But Arkansas did get that win, folks. Arkansas got the win. So I'm going to put this away real fast. But, yeah, Arkansas gets the win. So we'll discuss that one here a little bit on the back end of the show. But speaking of Kentucky, big win for Mark Pope and them to go get a road win in this league. Anyway, Anyhow, Oklahoma arguably playing their best ball of the season, but I don't think they're going to make the tournament. Jalen Moore, 20 points. Jeremiah Fears, 18 points. When he started distributing, the team got better. 13 points for Bryson Goodine. I mean, 4 for 6 from around the arc for him, just doing what Bryson Goodine does. I mean, shoots phenomenal from beyond the arc. This was not a bad game for Oklahoma. 82 points. Again, Kentucky's nothing to write home about defensively, as we know, but I kind of feel bad for Oklahoma a little bit. It's one they needed, one they had to have, and one I think they actually outplayed Kentucky, outplayed everyone on Kentucky, not named Otega Oweh. It's just, it hurts probably even more that he transferred from you if you're Porter Moser, and then that guy should be on our team. It's the nature of the beast. It's the transfer portal, but Kentucky in a big win. Both teams needed it for different reasons, but Kentucky trying to get as many wins as possible until they get healthy. What's next for Kentucky? They go back home to host the number 1 team in the country, the Auburn Tigers. We'll talk about them in just a minute. And they host LSU, and they go at Missouri. So 2 tough games. One you should get at home against LSU. I mean, 2-1 would be the goal in this. 2-1. We'll look at the standings at the end of the night, but 2-1 should be the goal for Kentucky. What's next for the Sooners? I mean, they're going to have to win out, I think, to make the NCAA tournament. I don't even would have to go probably 2-1, get to Saturday, potentially in Nashville for the SEC tournament. But they go at Ole Miss on Saturday. An Ole Miss team is probably going to be pissed off after getting dismantled tonight down in Auburn. So I look for Ole Miss and Chris Beard to probably bounce back. The Missouri at home, which would have to be a must-win, and then at Texas. I mean, you could get Texas, potentially Missouri at home, but I don't think you're going to get Ole Miss, and I probably think you're not going to get Missouri. I mean, maybe Texas, but I think Texas is probably – I mean, that Oklahoma-Missouri game or Oklahoma-Texas game at the end of the season could mean nothing because I think both teams will probably be out of it at that point. I think they're both going to go 0-2 in their next 2. That last one's just going to be for pride. Just going to be for straight pride. That's all it is. Texas going for the season sweep. I mean, yeah, you hate it. I thought Oklahoma had played good basketball over the past week, but it's why you can't lose, 5 straight, 4 and 5 straight games in the middle of conference play. This league's too tough to get wins. You can't go in that kind of run and get out of a hole like that. But give Kentucky credit for tonight, folks. Big win. They survived. That was literally just a survival game. I mean, I bet they get on that plane tonight at the Norman Airport, sit down, and breathe. I mean, you got that win. Again, not any kind of NCAA tournament potential threat of missing it. But, man, got away with one, and I think he got outplayed a little bit, if I'm going to be completely honest from that perspective. We will keep chipping on here. Hack Squat, Jim Duggan, baby. Big win for the Commodores tonight, baby. Dave, how does Daddy Gate impact Chris Beard's legacy? Touche. I know you're kidding on that one, but that's touche. I'll give you that one. That's pretty good right there. Monty Endicott, what's your take on Bama and Knoxville? I actually feel better about Bama winning in Knoxville than I do them beating Florida at home. Bama's played better on the road this year. Again, they've lost 3 straight to Tennessee now. Tennessee's kind of out physical them. I would like to see who the 3 refs are going into that. Not that Tennessee gets calls. Just I think refs kind of get accustomed to Tennessee's style, especially when they're playing at Thompson-Bowen, which is where this game will be played on Saturday afternoon. But I like Bama's chances because, again, I say this, Bama has some holes defensively. Zakai Ziegler and them could certainly go put 90 on Alabama. But I do think this is a very the ceiling of this Tennessee offense, I say it all the time if you listen to my stuff, is concerning. I don't know if I'm ready to say Alabama will win. I think that line's going to open up. Tennessee will be a 2.5 point favorite on Saturday afternoon. Actually, I'm leaning Alabama right now. I know it's not too wild. We're splitting hairs here. But Bama's been playing really good basketball, and I think they're going to be a little hungry here. They're due to beat Tennessee. Tennessee, again, they beat them 3 straight times, twice last year, once 2 years ago. So Bama's due. I think Bama's just better offensively, a better, well-rounded overall team. I like Alabama. Obviously, you would not shock me if Tennessee wins. But, again, I like Alabama. I feel better about Alabama on Saturday than I do Wednesday against Florida. I just think it's a better matchup because Florida's so much better offensively than Tennessee. Defense will hold them to less than 80. Yeah. I mean, yeah. They could. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Again, I'm not a Tennessee guy when Zakai Ziegler – you have to rely on him being your biggest threat offensively most nights, or Chaz Lanier's having to go off like you saw against A&M, and he hit some shots last night too in Baton Rouge. But moving on, guys, let's get back to tonight's reaction. Let's quickly talk about the number one team. Again, that's not a slight towards Auburn. I just said this was a dominant performance. What are we really going to talk about here? Just a dominant 106-76. I mean, what was in the water this week in the state of Alabama, folks, in the midweek for these teams shooting from beyond the arc for Auburn? Auburn, 52%. Bama was shooting in that, hit 23 threes last night. I mean, unbelievable performance by both Alabama and Auburn this past week. I mean, what was in the water again in the state of Alabama? But Auburn, I mean, came out of the gate swinging. Again, you never thought they were going to go play back-to-back average road games here. I mean, at least I didn't think they were. So that's why I liked Auburn a lot in this one. Because, again, I didn't think they played their best game against Georgia on Saturday. But I think Mike White always has a good game plan going against Bruce Pearl and played that zone against him. And Bruce openly said in a press conference they were a little shocked by that. Oh, yeah, Bama hit 22 last night. Sorry, I went and looked it up. But Auburn shot 59% from the field. I mentioned 52% from beyond the arc. You're not beating Auburn if they do that. 47% for Ole Miss, 35% from beyond the arc. Wasn't terrible against a really good Auburn defense. 30 plus 13 on the boards for Auburn. That'll be a big difference in the game. Auburn only shot 2 more free throws. Auburn 20 assists to 7 assists. Not a lot of assists for the Rebs tonight. Turnovers, Ole Miss was not bad. 10 on the road at Auburn. I mean, that's in the range of winning. I mean, that's not the reason they lost that. Only 8 for Auburn. Points in the paint, 44. It's a lot. It's a lot for Auburn. That's where they dominated as well. Again, I think Ole Miss is the second smallest team in the lead. I mean, Auburn's biggest lead was 33, and Ole Miss never led. I mean, Ole Miss went on a little run late in the second half to get it to 10, to try to get it respectable at half. It was 50-40. High scoring a game in the first half. And then Auburn outscored by 20 in the second half. But Ole Miss had a shot to kind of cut into it early in the first 4 minutes of the second half, but Auburn just came out guns a-blazing. Bruce had his team focused. Give them credit across the board there. I think Auburn's magic number is 2 to win the league. A combination of 2 wins or 2 of 1 Auburn loss, or 1 Auburn win and an Alabama loss. So essentially, if they beat Kentucky on Saturday, which they do play before Alabama at 1 Eastern, and Alabama and Tennessee play at 4 Eastern. If Auburn were to beat Kentucky at Rupp and Bama loses at Knoxville, which Vegas will have that favored, because like I said, I think Tennessee's going to be a 2.5-point favorite against Alabama, and I think Auburn will be favored going to Rupp. Auburn would have a 3-game lead in the SEC. They'd clinch it. So that's what it is. It's either 2 Auburn wins. They could clinch it in College Station midweek without wondering what Alabama's doing. But that's kind of the number for the Tigers. That's kind of what they're aiming for right now. But for Auburn, again, tonight, Janai Barum walking double-double, but he didn't get it tonight. 1 board short, folks. 24 points, 9 rebounds, 22. Chad Baker-Mazara apparently had the stomach bug, but he went out and had one of his better nights of the season. 22 points, 8 of 12 from the field, 4 or 5 from beyond the arc, 13 for Denver Jones, 13 for Miles Kelly. Just an overall great performance offensively. I mean, 24 for Broom. CBM went for 22, like I mentioned, and they get double figures for both Jones and Kelly, and then 13 for Chaney Johnson off the bench. So just a phenomenal performance. Not much for the Rebs, really. I mean, we had 4 starters in double figures. 11 for Malik Dia, 14 for Sean Padula, 12 for Matthew Morrell, 12 for Dre Davis. It wasn't a great night for Jalen Murray. Jamin Brakefield with 13 as well. So he had Morrell, Brakefield, both in double digits, double figures. I mean, the issue here wasn't offensively for Ole Miss. It's just you give 106, you're not going to win many games, guys. Let's call a spade a spade. Auburn was on fire. That was one of their best games of dismantling tonight. Doesn't change my opinion on Ole Miss. Just Auburn's a damn good basketball team, folks. Let's call a spade a spade. Like I said, if you're an Auburn fan, the main thing you're concerned about, you got a 2-game lead in the SEC with 3 games left. Magic number 2. You win 2 games, you win your next 2 at Kentucky, at Texas A&M, or if you win Kentucky, or if you win at Rupp and Alabama loses at Thompson Bowl Arena on Saturday, you would clinch the SEC as well. So I look for Auburn to clinch the SEC here probably in the next week, probably midweek, I'd probably assume. If it went to Alabama-Auburn for a chance to share it, and at that point, Bama would probably have the tiebreaker because they'd have the win over Florida, which Auburn didn't get. Make things interesting. I don't know if we get that far, though. But what is next for the Auburn Tigers? Like we mentioned, a trip to Rupp Arena, a trip to College Station, just play Texas A&M midweek, then topping it off with Alabama coming to town. Auburn wants to go 3-0, folks. Auburn wants to 3-0. They got a real chip on their shoulder. Phenomenal basketball team. A heads-on favorite to win the national championship right now. For Ole Miss, It's next for the Rebs. They go back home to face Oklahoma. Ole Miss should be hungry, ready for that one. I actually like that. I wonder what that line will be coming out. I could see that being 6 or so. I actually like Ole Miss. Then they host Tennessee and then at Florida. So Ole Miss does have a tough stretch where the last 2 games will be really tough. Tennessee at home, at Florida. Ole Miss wants to go 2-1. You need to get one of those, probably preferably that home game against Tennessee at Florida will be tough to end the season there from that perspective. Let's see. Keegan Amons. What about the Bama-Mississippi State game? Thoughts on Mississippi State? Again, question. You can go back and look at that reaction last night. We went on and talked about it last night. Thoughts on Mississippi State? I thought that was Alabama's ceiling. I talked about it. It's as good as anyone's in the country. That's a national championship winning team. Again, are they going to make 22 threes every night? No. But I was really impressed. The defensive side of the ball is really what you took from that. What about Mississippi State? Somebody's got to step up other than Hubbard, man. I mean, someone's got to step up. I think the Clary injury hurts. I mean, you're always looking at Cam Matthews, Murphy. Riley Kugel, I've said it all year, has got to be the X factor. He's got to step up if they want to make it to the second weekend, like win the first 2 games of the NCAA tournament. They're in. They're probably going to be anywhere from that 7 to 10 range, depending on how they finish. I like them. I don't think it's one of Jans's better defensive squads. They're going to have to be better offensively in these late game tournament situations to really have a real chance, I think, to advance that second weekend, which should be the goal in year 3 for Chris Jans. And it's amazing. He's going to be taking Mississippi State in his first 3 years to 3 straight NCAA tournaments. That's something. That's a tip of the cap to that right there as well right there. Shaker Jack, Mr. Shumate, how many winnable plus or better guys do you think you need to sign in a 3-year period to make the college football playoff? How many winnable plus or better guys? Winnable plus guys, man, just putting a number on it. I always say if you're looking at your roster, every 10 guys in college football, just quickly, I know it's our basketball reaction, but yes, I would probably say hitting on 50, 60% of those guys in the winnable plus range, you're going to be winning phenomenal. I mean, you're going to be winning national. I mean, you're going to be a top team in college football. I mean, you're hitting that much, you better be paying who's evaluating most of your roster because they're doing a hell of a job. And then Shaker Jack also says Bama has the best ceiling in college hoops, and I'm not sure it's particularly close, to be honest. Yeah, it's probably a little – I agree with you. They have the highest ceiling in the sport. It's probably a little closer than we're giving it credit for, but I agree with you. I do think it's the highest in the sport. You saw it last night. Cole Mexi, Arkansas finding ways to win with the most important pieces missing is insane. But yeah, this Arkansas team, what they've done in the month of February, that's another tip of the cap right there. So give them a benefit of the doubt, man. So, I mean, Arkansas playing really good basketball, but you're right. Let's get back to some of the other reactions. No, Shaker Jack, you're good, brother. Ask what any questions you want. It's just basketball reaction. I'll answer the football question quick. But hey, tune into my the Overtime Drive tomorrow. Myself and Cole Thompson, 8 p.m. Eastern, every Monday and Thursday now. Really talking all things SEC, but really honing in on football. So we'll answer any questions. Go to our Instagram account. Tomorrow's the question episode. So ask any question you want, how many you want. Myself and Cole will answer that on tomorrow's show. So appreciate you tuning in, Shaker Jack. Appreciate your listening, man. Appreciate your time. But let's go to the next game here. I think one of the bigger stories in the sport. How about the Commodores, baby? Where's old Hacksaw and the boys? Are they still in the chat? Let me see you guys. Vanderbilt. How about Vanderbilt going to Reed Arena and maybe the longest basketball game in the history of the sport with how they were reviewing. But Vanderbilt gets the 86-84 win. It felt like Vanderbilt was up most of this game. I mean, it really did. I mean, I think the largest lead for A&M was at 4 at one point. Vanderbilt had a double-digit lead. I mean, Vanderbilt controlled this game. They outplayed A&M at home. Give Mark Byington them credit, and I'll say it. I think Dennis Gates would be in this conversation. But I think if Bruce Pearl wasn't doing what he was doing, winning the SEC and historically the best college basketball conference of all time, yes, you should be named SEC Basketball Coach of the Year, Bruce Pearl. Give him that. But if it wasn't for that, Mark Byington would be getting it this year, and he should. Again, Vanderbilt shoot 41% from the field, 41% from beyond the arc. A&M, 37% from the field, 31% from beyond the arc. 39 plus 3 more free throws for A&M, 39 to 36, both in the same percentage, 77 to 79% free throw percentage. A&M plus 8 in rebound advantage. Only 12 turnovers for A&M. It's not terrible for them. 9 for Vanderbilt. I mean, this game just for the most part, I mean, I'm looking at it, was really early on, A&M wasn't shooting great at the stripes. That was really the issue. I mean, it's A&M shooting. I mean, just Vanderbilt was 40% above it from the field and from beyond the arc, and yet A&M you're looking at. Again, I'm reacting to this as you may. I'll go back and watch these highlights early in the morning the next day, right before my kid gets up. But like I'm reacting to this just as much as y'all are after watching these games. And you always look at these as like, man, that's where that game was truly won right there. I mean, it was. I mean, just Vanderbilt was unconscious. I mean, Tyler Nickel, 21 points. I mean, he was big time tonight, man. Big time. Again, he was 21.7 for 13 from beyond the arc, 7 for 10 from beyond the arc, 7 for 13 from the field. Jason Edwards doing his thing, 15 points. I mean, what if Vanderbilt would have got that road win at Knoxville? Man, big win. I mean, put them in there. They're in the NCAA tournament now. 19-9, 7-8 now. A&M drops to 20-8, 9-6 in league play. MJ Collins came off the bench and had a big one. But Mark Byington's group, man, going to go to the NCAA tournament. I think you can lock them up. I'm saying you're locking it. Go get the lock. Throw the key away. It's not coming loose. 7 wins, I think, is usually the barometer for most teams. Give them credit, man. I didn't think it would happen in non-conference. Because, I mean, you watch a little bit of that Jackson State game stuck with me where they got out-rebounded, but it goes to show you how good of a coach Mark Byington is. They've improved. I mean, let's see. Let's go back and look at the rebounding. This is a really good A&M rebounding team, as you folks know. Rebounds. I mean, granted, they got out-rebounded by 8, but that was not a shock. I mean, A&M is one of the better rebounding teams in the country, but they were out-rebounding Tennessee and Kentucky. Vanderbilt was in conference play, and they were really struggling in non-conference play. So that shows that is an improvement. That is a tip of the cap to Mark Byington and what he has done with this program, taking them to the NCAA tournament in his first year. Man, a lot of weapons, guys who really understand their role. Just like I always think of guys who understand their role at an elite level, that's all. Auburn does that. Chad Baker-Mazzaro understands his role. Dylan Carwell understands his role. The guards, Denver Jones, Miles Kelly, all those guys understand their roles. They're the same with Auburn. With Vanderbilt. Devin McLaughlin understands his role. Jason Edwards, Tyler Nickel, Chris Mannion, A.J. Hogarth played a ton of college basketball, going back to Michigan State with Tom Izzo. All these guys have played, they all understand their role. The guys off the bench, Jalen Carey has been great for them in the front court. I like this Vanderbilt squad a lot. I regret picking against them as much as I have. Am I disappointed in it? No, they're just pleasant to watch. Mark Byington, a phenomenal basketball coach. For A&M, not the end of the world. And I'll actually be on Texags doing a basketball segment with them on Friday, so I hate them coming in after a loss. But, they dropped to 28, 9-6 in league play. Nothing to – 23 points for Pharrell Payne. He was the highlight. 14 for Zurich Phelps. Wade Taylor with 21. Not a lot from the bench. 12 from C.J. Wilcher. He was 4 for 7 around the arc. 84 points for A&M. That's usually pretty good for them. But a lot of opportunity. But one, you got to protect the home court in this because it's so hard to get wins in this league. That's back-to-back losses now for A&M. They got to get this back. They got to get the show back on the road. But what is next for both these teams? Vanderbilt feeling really good. You'd like to just get one more, though, to lock up that 8. But I think they're in. What's next for them? Their next 3, Missouri at home, Arkansas at home, and at Georgia. So they'll have a big say in who gets in from the NCAA tournament, especially with playing Arkansas and Georgia. But I think Vandy's in, and obviously Mizzou is in. What is up next for the Texas A&M Aggies? Coming up their next 3 at Florida. That'll be tough. College game day will be at the O-Dome. Chris Phillips from SEC Unfiltered will be there. He's going to the Florida-Miami baseball series. But the SEC Unfiltered Tour will be in Gainesville, and it'll be at the Texas A&M Florida basketball game and the Florida-Miami baseball series if you're still following college baseball as well. Auburn at home and at LSU for Texas A&M. So at Florida, at Florida, Auburn at home, and at LSU for Texas A&M. And you want to go 2-1. You need to get that LSU win and get one of those Florida Auburn wins. You need to get back on track. But when you look down your schedule after losing 3 straight at Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt, and you look on the schedule like, hey, we got to get back on the tracks. Let's just go get a win. And you're like, at Florida and Auburn back-to-back. Not what the doctor ordered from that perspective. So interesting timing for Buzz Williams. They're not playing their best basketball heading into the month of March. Let's call a spade a spade. Saturday's March 1st, guys. March is here. It's officially here. We closed the chapter tonight. I guess officially the league closes it when we finish this reaction. But March 1st, that's Saturday. They're not playing their best basketballs. A&M's got to get the show on the road, but massive win for Vanderbilt, getting the 86-84 road win. And then finally, we had the Arkansas Razorbacks. Sorry, I didn't have time to edit out because we started this earlier, the final score of that. But Arkansas getting a big win tonight. I thought it was more of a loser leave town type game. I was saying it. I've talked to our buddy JBR Bracketology, my favorite bracketologist. If you follow our stuff at the SECU Unfiltered, he does usually the weekly seed line with us. We didn't get a chance this week, but he normally comes on. I'm texting with him, DMing him all the time, asking him. He didn't think it was as much as that, but I did. I mean, I don't think Texas is going to get in. I think Arkansas is still right there now, but Arkansas gets the 86-81 win over Texas. Arkansas shoots 46% from the field, 52% from beyond the arc. Texas, 42% from the field, 34% from beyond the arc. Texas out-rebounded Arkansas, +5. I mean, Arkansas is a beat-up team, man. You even saw Big Z with his lower back limping around, and then Adu Thero. Turnovers, 12 for Arkansas, 10 for Texas. Points in the paint, 38-32. Arkansas won Texas won the advantage in the paint. Arkansas's biggest lead, 14-3. I mean, overall in this one, I mean, you felt like Arkansas controlled most of this. They were up 12 at half, and they let Texas come back. 39 points for Trey Johnson. I mean, is Texas really going to waste Trey Johnson? I mean, it feels like we're totally going to waste this performance. I mean, I feel like we hadn't had a player in him in the league since probably Brandon Miller 2 years ago at Alabama. Like, very similar kind of like body mannerisms in the way they play, like, and how they can create their own shot, create separation. But I feel like Trey, there's a legit shot. It's likely we're not going to see Trey Johnson in an NCAA tournament, guys. We're going to get robbed of not seeing Trey Johnson in the NCAA tournament. That's unbelievable. I mean, I'm tweeting that right now as we're on the show. Let's see. No, I mean, it really is when you think about it. I'm actually a little angry about it. I mean, it honestly is. It's really going to be strange. We're not going to see him, and he's an unbelievable player. Single-handedly kept him in this game tonight. I mean, 39 points. 14 and for 28 of the field, 7 from 11. I mean, I'm talking about him for even give the flowers to the winning team. But speaking of, give the starting 5 for Arkansas. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. He's back. We're still live. Yeah, 31:35. Sorry. For whatever reason, the internet in the house went out completely. My TV, I have YouTube TV, and it went out on me there. So I had to shut down the computer. But I appreciate you guys. Hanging with us. But guys, what I was talking about last, we're not going to get Trey Johnson in the NCAA tournament. It feels criminal. It feels like it's unbelievable, honestly. But give Arkansas their flowers, man. They had to have this one, shorthanded team. But like I was mentioning, my buddy over there at football in Arkansas works there, said Sam Pittman reached out to the football staff in their group text messages saying Cal hit him up asking for extra bodies to practice with guys who were decent basketball players in high school that are now in Arkansas's football team because they're so beat up. That makes sense with a new Thero. I mean, Boogie Flan's banged up. They played 7 guys tonight. They probably don't have a ton of bodies, so wild. They're scratching and clawing, just trying to mount as many wins as possible. To get into the NCAA tournament here. I mean, again, now they improved to they have their 6th win. I mean, one more. I think they have it in them. The one more, I think, would get Arkansas in. And I think a lot of it, again, I think Arkansas is playing like an NCAA tournament team, but the bubble is very soft, guys. I mean, you got SMU, who doesn't have a quad 1 win this year, that is still sitting there from the ACC. But yeah, phenomenal job from Arkansas starting 5. Like I mentioned, all 5 starters, double figures, Big Z, Carter Knox, Trevor Brazil, Nelly Davis, DJ Wagner. You only had seven guys, and you outlasted them. Again, was it pretty at times? Did you feel like you blew it at home? Yeah, you did. But, God, Trey Johnson. I mean, Arkansas getting a big win, must have. Thought it was a loser leave town type game. Maybe a little bit of an over-exaggeration. I don't think Texas is getting in, guys. And like I mentioned, it's going to be sad. Trey Johnson we're not going to see him probably in the NCAA tournament. And I don't mean to be raining on parades, but just calling a spade here. What is the next 3 for Arkansas, or what are the next 3 games? At South Carolina, at Vandy, Mississippi State at home. You just need one, I think. And you should probably circle it at South Carolina. Where is South Carolina going to be? They got their first SEC win, got embarrassed at Mizzou Arena yesterday. Colonial Life, it's in Columbia, has been a tough place to play. I mean, took Auburn down to the wire, took Mississippi State down to the wire, took Florida down to the wire. Should have won at least 2 out of 3 of those games. So not an easy place to play. So you get to come in ready to play, shorthanded. Big Z looks at that back's bothering him. You got at Vanderbilt. That'll be a tough place to play. The Mississippi State at home. I think you got to get it Saturday. You could get it against Mississippi State at home, but I think Saturday is where you start getting it. For Texas, I mean, you got to win 2 of the next 3. At the very least, would like to see 3. Georgia at home. If they lose that, they're done. Officially, I think they're going to be done. I think it's going to work itself out. Then at Mississippi State and Oklahoma. But Georgia on Saturday, I think it's kind of a must-win for both Georgia and Texas. Another opportunity. This was a big week for Texas anyways. They played 2 teams at Arkansas and Georgia at home that they were competing for spots in the NCAA tournament for. They're 0-1. They just failed the first test. They have to go win this one, and they got to do some bonus, get some extra credit projects, probably go win at a place like at Mississippi State. And I think they could certainly beat Oklahoma at home. They already won that game early in the year, so why couldn't they win it at home? So it starts with these next 2, and it starts Saturday at the Moody Center against Georgia, folks. Let's go look. Let me share the screen with you. Let's go look at the schedule, or let's go look at the standings here, folks. But before we do that, let me actually pull up. I want to read you something here by our proud sponsor, guys. Very proud to have our buddies over at FanDuel, folks, coming back and being our proud sponsor for us here. But when the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting. So even if you missed the first few minutes of the game or want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into the same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and plus, and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued at non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit Gambling Helpline MA. or call 800-327-5050 for 27 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, folks. Let's look at those SEC standings before we get out of here, folks. And sorry for the internet going out again, guys. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate you joining me on this beautiful February 26th evening. If you're on the West Coast, folks, yeah, it's officially the 27th. But Auburn, if you can see it, make sure you can see it. Yep. Auburn sitting there 14-1. Remember the magic number 2. Just need 2 more wins or a win and an Alabama loss. They can clinch it Saturday. Auburn plays in. Auburn may find out they win the SEC on a plane ride home or right as they're landing. They play Kentucky, Auburn plays at Kentucky before Alabama plays at Tennessee. And Auburn win, Bama loss. Auburn clinches. Bama sitting Han Solo in second place at 12-3. Florida right behind them at 11-4. Tennessee, Missouri tied at 10-5. Texas A&M 9-6. Ole Miss 8-7. Kentucky 8-7. Mississippi State 7-8. Vanderbilt 7-8. Arkansas 6-9. Georgia 5-10. Texas 5-10. Oklahoma 4-11. LSU 3-12. And South Carolina sitting in last place at 1-14. So we got some big matchups coming up on Saturday, folks. Let's actually talk about that a little bit, along with that top 4 race in this league. Top 4 race. I'm always intrigued by that. The double buys in Nashville. And obviously, this year, you finish in the top 4 of the SEC, you're going to get a very, very high seed. But I think the team's kind of competing with that again. Auburn's locked it up. Bama, Florida, Tennessee, and Missouri. I'm starting to feel right now. I think A&M's lost tonight to Vanderbilt. No, it's not nothing against Vanderbilt. That's just going to really hurt them getting further. I think they're still – I would throw A&M in there. I still think 6 teams competing for 4 spots, really 5 teams competing for 3, because I think Auburn's already clinched that. But again, A&M and then A&M's got Florida and Auburn coming back to back. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's going to be 4 or 5 of Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Missouri. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be, in my opinion. There, I actually feel pretty good about that one. But let's look ahead to Saturday's action here in the SEC at 1 p.m. Eastern. Auburn at Kentucky. At 1 p.m. Eastern, Arkansas at South Carolina. 2 p.m. Eastern, Oklahoma at Ole Miss. I'm pretty sure these times are right. Again, at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, LSU at Mississippi State. 4 p.m. Eastern, Alabama at Tennessee. 6 p.m. Eastern, Missouri at Vanderbilt. 8 p.m. Eastern, Georgia at Texas. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, where College Game Day will be. We just mentioned it. Texas A&M at Florida. So the big ones to circle. Remember, Bama, Tennessee. That's a big one. Bama still has an outside shot to go win the SEC. They got to win out. But this is the 3-game stretch coming up for Bama. At Tennessee, Florida at home, and at Auburn. Tough task. Auburn at Kentucky, again, that's a big one because it has SEC regular season championship clinching implications. Arkansas, I mean, all these late have big implications. Arkansas trying to get that epic 7th win. Ole Miss trying to get back. I mean, not as big. LSU, Mississippi State, not as much. Missouri, Vandy, standings-wise, certainly. Standings-wise, for sure. I would totally say, for a standings-wise perspective, 100% that has massive. I mean, look at Vanderbilt, 7-8. Missouri sitting there 10-5. I don't know if Vanderbilt will catch Missouri, but that'd be another massive win for Vanderbilt to go get anywhere from that, 6 to 7 range in league standings from that perspective. Georgia at Texas, I think another loser leave town. I mean, Georgia's 5-10 right now. So is Texas. They're both 5-10 across the board here. They both need wins. They both need to get to 7 wins. Loser's done. I think loser is done. Loser is completely done from that. That is a true loser leave town. I even think JBR would agree with me from that perspective. And like I mentioned, the big one, that's another one. Texas A&M at Florida. Texas A&M's lost 3 straight rolling in the O-Dome. Florida just lost 1 to Georgia. They're probably rolling in pissed off. It's a good spot for Florida. A&M, they're just trying to get it. I mean, they're trying not to roll in with a 4-game losing streak when Auburn comes in greeting them back to town in Reed Arena next midweek. That's where you're concerned about Buzz's group, not playing their best ball rolling into March, and you got to get some win. It's like a shooter. To get their confidence back, you got to see it go through the net. You got to get a win. You got to get a win in that win column, and your next 2 are at Florida and Auburn. Not necessarily how you want to roll into that potential last game of the regular season there. But some big matchups coming up. Fired up about it, guys. But again, guys, I appreciate you guys hanging with me, joining with me, hanging with me through the internet quickly. Sorry that was out for about 3 to 5 minutes. But guys, I'm your lead college basketball host here at the SEC Unfiltered channel. Go like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. There's over 1,000 of you listening right now. I know not all of you are subscribed. That is my challenge to you tonight. Go click that subscription button. It costs nothing. It costs nothing, guys. It's the best SEC entity around for football, basketball, and certainly baseball right now with Harrison Fant, Chris Phillips leading the way from that perspective. Again, Chris Phillips, the SEC Unfiltered Tour, will be on the road in Gainesville, Florida this weekend. He'll be at the Miami, Florida baseball series, along with probably meet up with the college game day guys for the Florida Texas A&M game. So it should be a fun weekend if you're a Gator, for everybody following SEC sports around. I mean, we're in the midst of a phenomenal season right now. College basketball is just getting into March. About to crown an SEC champion. Nashville's 2 weeks away. College baseball's heating up, about 2 weeks away from first pitch and not in conference play. But, man, love bringing you all the reaction. Hey, if you want to keep joining us, guys, again, we have the Overtime Drive tomorrow night live. Our first episode, myself and Cole Thompson, was Monday. Tomorrow night's our question episode. You fans, go to Instagram right now. Follow us on the SEC Unfiltered channel. Go to my Instagram account, Dave Shumate SEC. Go follow at Mr. Cole Thompson. And submit a question for tomorrow night's show. It's a fan show. We answer any questions you have, so I encourage that. And if not, you're just a big basketball fan, I will see you on Saturday night reacting to all of the 8 matchups across the SEC. But for Dave Shumate, I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your evening, or if you're on the East Coast, a phenomenal morning.